Hypocrisy's the best policy. Wish for change but lazily. Century of debilitation. Your evolution is a damnation. Warranties can't fix a heart. Industrialize and drive us apart. What you advertise can't rationalize. Shining a new one fits any lie. You know, one of the things I enjoy the most about hosting this podcast is when I get to sit down with players, coaches, parents, and fans to talk pucks. As part of a special Bench Boss double edition of the HV Pucks podcast, I chatted with Brian Young, head coach of the Churchville-Chili Saints, and Paul Zarach, head coach of the Ithaca boys hockey team. Enjoy. Hey, this is your boy Trav. What's going on? I am pleased to be joined by Brian Young, head coach of the Churchville-Chili Saints, and he's taken a little time out of his Sunday to speak with me. Coach, how's it going?
Great, Travis. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm doing real well today. Real well. My pleasure. Let's just first talk about last night's win. It was an 8-0 drubbing over Batavia, and I believe that there were a lot of firsts that happened in this game. So let me just recap, and you can certainly chime in. I believe it was Nick Anderson's first shutout as a goalie.
Correct.
I believe it was sophomore defenseman Luke Malnin. Did I get that right?
Molnar.
Molnar, sorry. His first goal as a first varsity goal for your team. And freshman forward Nick Bowen, his first goal as well. And then we also tied our record for most power play goals in the season last night since 2007 with 16. And then we shattered the previous goal of 56 shots on goal by putting 73 shots on goal against the poor Batavia netminder, whoever that was. And we came away with the win, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, those are all accurate.
All right, nice. And I also know that I was tweeting out as well that there was a cancer charity game recently held in honor of Colleen Varney. I believe she's a Rush Henrietta hockey mom. So, you guys are doing real good things up there, which I appreciate reading about.
Yeah, I got a message from one of our parents last night who was involved in it that they raised over $5,000 for Colleen. So,
oh, that's huge, awesome. Huge. Stick taps out. I'm doing interviews this morning, and I finished my show. I haven't put out all the tweets yet about stick taps, but I definitely, in looking at my sheet here, I definitely have some stick taps going out to you as well for your work. The at CCCSD Hockey will definitely be tagged a little bit later on this morning. Coach, can you describe your team in 5 words or less?
I would say, if I had to narrow it down to 5, we have a lot of guys that are character guys, so that's definitely one of the words I would use to describe them. These guys are focused. They're fun. We have a good time day in and day out at practice. They're definitely coachable kids, so that's another pretty good word to use to describe this team. And driven. When they start seeing the wins come and they start seeing some of the records get broken, they're really starting to drive themselves hard in practice.
All great words to describe, any team at any level, certainly. What excites you the most about your squad, Coach?
Probably our depth. We got a very, very deep team this year. And, Nick Bowen scored his first varsity goal last night. What I didn't mention is it was his first game.
Wow.
So, he hasn't had a chance to dress yet, and we got him a chance to get out there and dress, and he went out and he produced.
Made the most of that. Made the most of that opportunity, Coach, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's one of 15 kids that have at least 1 point this year for us. So that's there's just a ton of depth there, and we had 10 different goal scorers against Spencerport, which is one of my highlights so far this year.
Oh, I love that. So you're getting contributions from everybody. Everybody's buying in. The train is moving in the right direction. So all good things coming out of the Churchville-Chili program. Any surprises this season for you, Coach?
Probably that we're breaking school records. That's not something I thought coming into this year that we would be able to achieve. Maybe one, but we've set several this year, and there's several more that are just a game or two away. So that's probably one of the things I'm most surprised about with this group.
Well, I'll be looking on Twitter, so anytime, you do something big, if you don't tag me directly, that's fine. I'm sure I'll find out, and I'll be sure to recognize that on one of the upcoming episodes. You mentioned a couple of names earlier, but who are some of the players to watch on your squad?
I would list certainly the guys that have been on the team for a while that have contributed. Number 26, our sophomore Spencer Quinn, who's a forward. Very shifty player. Everybody tends to double up on him in games, which opens up other guys. But he's definitely a very highly skilled player for us. Our sophomore defenseman, Luke Molnar, he was third in points without a goal going into the Canandaigua game, which tells you he's setting up a whole bunch of guys with a ton of assists. So
right.
He's definitely a very skilled player, along with our junior defenseman, Matt Kosh. He's also a very, very highly skilled player. He's one that's also playing travel, so it's difficult to get him every game. But, when we have him out there, he's definitely making his mark. Our two captain forwards, Zach Olson and Jordan Elves, two guys that have been on the team for a long time, putting up points for us, driving the kids hard in practice. They're definitely guys to mention here today. And then our two goalies have been phenomenal this year. They're both freshmen. Nick Anderson and Ethan Breton have stepped up big time for us, and they're building and developing every day. So I'd give a shout out to those guys.
It sounds like, your team, the future of your team is in very capable hands. So, again, I look forward to looking on my timeline for more good things coming out of your club. Biggest game of the season. I know you mentioned the win over Spencerport earlier. Would that be considered your biggest game of the season?
That was a memorable game, but I think our biggest one so far was the win we had against Canandaigua when they were state ranked.
Okay.
Last week.
Sure.
That was huge for the boys. Big confidence booster for the boys, knowing that we can go out there and get the job done against anybody. So that's probably, I would say, so far our biggest game this season. But we got another one coming up Tuesday that's going to be big too against Brockport.
Okay, listen, a win like that is certainly something to build on. The boys buy into the system; they see that what they're doing is working, so that's huge. Coach, I'm not super familiar, certainly with your area, because I'm a little bit of a car ride away from you. But what's the toughest rink to play in up your way?
I would say probably either Webster Thomas or Canandaigua. They get a lot of people to their games, and it's really tough to play in those two atmospheres. So we definitely didn't do our best against Webster when we were there. Tough to play in. But the last game of the season for us is going to be in Canandaigua, so that's going to be a really tough game if we can stay focused on our what we're supposed to do and not really get too involved in the crowd or the groups that they draw there. I think we'll be okay. Definitely two very difficult rinks to play in.
One of the things I always talk about with players or coaches or whoever is, toughest rink to play in. And regardless of the barn, they always talk about how the fans come out. And that's really what's huge about high school hockey. And you can't replicate that. I know you mentioned you have a travel player or two on your team like most teams. And I get it. The skill level, the compete level might be elevated at the travel level, but you're not going to be able to replicate what you just described with the community coming out, the fans coming out at any travel tournament anywhere. I don't care what people say. So, high school hockey, that's what it's all about, bringing the fans out and getting the kids excited. Who's your biggest rival?
I would say right now, probably our neighboring school, Brockport. It's always a tough game against them. They come to us, and it's a hard-fought battle. We go up there, and we gotta battle every minute of the game to try and keep up with them. So they're probably, I would say, one of our biggest rivals that we have coming in the last couple of years.
Coach, is there a favorite tournament or a road trip that you look forward to every year with the kids?
States and Buffalo.
Okay, listen, I love that. I love that answer, and that's one of the first coaches to give that answer. So I like where you're going. I like your thinking. My hotel room, my hotel room's been secured. My flight has been booked. It's an hour. It's a little more than an hour from Newark International Airport up to Buffalo International Airport. I still have to figure out. I think I'm going to have the Uber take me to Jim's Steakout for a Stinger sub. I'm still trying to
you got to hit some wing places when you're in Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm there Friday through Sunday. I think my flight's at like 7 o'clock Sunday night. So I definitely will look to hit a wing spot, and I'm definitely going to get. I did a whole thing on Twitter with the poll for the Stinger sub. So, and if I ever get out like to the Rochester area, I got to try me one of those garbage plates that I'm always hearing about too. So,
we got some great spots. I'll be happy to take you there.
Yeah, you'll be my ambassador. That'd be awesome. Coach, what do you look for in a hockey player?
Probably to start off attitude and character. We got to have guys that are going to build the team from the locker room out. Then it comes down to academics, making sure that they're getting their stuff done in the classroom, and then it comes down to performance. So I'd say probably those things in that order are what make what we want as a hockey player.
And as a school counselor, I certainly echo those sentiments. You got to have good character kids. They've got to be able to, succeed academically in the classroom, or else they're going to be no good to you. They're going to be useless. You're not going to be able to play them. So good stuff all around. Absolutely. What makes a successful hockey coach?
Speaking from the guys that I try to emulate my styles after, the consistency in their coaching. They do things regularly. They do things often the same way. So definitely somebody that's consistent, somebody who has a well-defined structure, making sure that, things are laid out early and often with the players so they know exactly what the expectations are. Attention to the players, somebody that connects with their players every day. Try to reach out and connect to your players. Say something to them every day so that they know that you're there. They know that they're being seen, and just probably those things there. And I continue to try and work on those every day. Okay. I think those are what make a good coach.
That all sounds excellent to me. Hey, you touched on this earlier, but could I ask you what your favorite memory or moment as a coach this season has been so far?
Well, definitely the 10 different goal scorers in Spencerport game, 6 guys that scored their first goal for us in that game alone.
Awesome.
And then that win over Canandaigua, which was big too. So probably those 2.
Okay, there you go. And we hopefully have a few more memories and moments yet to come. Biggest challenge you face as a coach?
I would say probably building the trust with your players so that they can buy into what it is that you and your coaching staff are trying to do. It's tough when you want them to do something, they go out, they try it, and they're not successful. It's really tough to get them to try that style again when they're used to doing things certain ways. Certain players do things certain ways, and when you're trying to get them to change a little bit to get into your system, it can be tricky to get them to buy in. So we have to develop that trust first, and then just keeping them motivated to make sure that it's a long season. So you got to have kids that are out there day in and day out continuing to work. You don't want to take a day or shift off. So making sure that those 2 things are accomplished would probably be the most difficult.
Yeah, in this sport, you can't afford to take a game off. I mean, hockey is the ultimate grind. What advice would you give someone who's interested in coaching?
I would say start by volunteering somewhere in a well-established program. Don't just jump right in to a high-level coaching position without a ton of experience. Go through the things that those coaches do. I had my opportunities to shadow a bunch of coaches. I've been in many different levels and learned a little bit from everyone that I worked with. And that was great for the experience of it. And I think it's helped me learn more about the game and about the style of coaching and kind of the expectations. And then just communication. Make sure that if you're going to start coaching, make sure you're communicating your expectations with the players and the parents. The communication isn't there, then all of a sudden, things can get misunderstood or skewed a certain way. So make sure that you're opening up those lines of communication.
I love it. Hey, how would you describe the state of hockey in your area?
In Section 5, I would say it's very strong. We have some very, very good teams in this area year after year. We're constantly looking at a handful of Section 5 teams that are state ranked. So, I think it's big here. A couple of years ago, we were struggling to try and compete with the travel teams and the junior teams that were getting established in our area. But I think now it's very well balanced. If anything, the pendulum's swinging back in the high school favor. Good. We still have guys that we struggle to get involved in high school programs, and I think you're going to see that, as long as the promotion at the higher level is being done mostly at travel tournaments.
Right.
If we can start getting our high school teams into some high exposure tournaments, I think you could definitely see it grow up from there. But I would still say right now we're strong in our area. And
certainly a couple of state championships also lends to, the brand, for high school hockey. But like I said earlier, the skill and the compete level might be elevated, when you get to the travel games, but you can never replicate the memory. Look, a good friend of mine who coaches around here says when you go to your 20-year high school reunion, your travel players aren't going to be there. Your brothers are going to be there, so those memories last forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I'll say on that piece. All right, 2 more questions for you, Coach. Favorite professional hockey player, past or present?
I was always a Ryan Callahan fan. He was a local boy.
Sure.
Loved the way he played when he was with the Rangers.
Captain
awesome.
Callie. Captain Callie.
Oh, my God. I loved it. Loved the way he played down there. His hustle. I mean, the ability to take a skill player and have him on the penalty kill and blocking shots like he used to. It was just phenomenal. I know he's trying to find his way down there in Tampa, but Callie's probably my boy.
Yeah, you know what? He also, he laid his body on the line for how many years with the Rangers with, blocking shots and all that other stuff. I think it's certainly taken its toll on him physically. It was a sad day for myself and for a lot of Ranger fans when we let him go. But it's nice to see that he's still in the show and he's down there with, Dan Girardi and Strawman and a couple of former Ranger guys. So, good on him. And listen, the Tampa Bay Lightning are arguably the best team in the East. So, who knows what the future is going to bring for him as far as a championship title. And favorite professional hockey team?
Oh, I was a huge Rangers fan during the Tortorella years.
Yes.
Loved it. Loved watching. Tortorella was a coach up here for the Amherst, and then found his way down there. So I kind of followed him around.
Sure.
I liked the way Johnny coached, and his styles were great. They were very entertaining as a kid. A young hockey player to try and watch a coach like that.
Yeah.
So I was a huge Rangers fan when he was down there, and then he's bounced around a little bit. But I always have loyalty here in Buffalo.
Of course.
We gotta stick by our Sabres, and some good friends that are involved in the organization. So I would say at this point, if there was a game on, I'd probably turn the Sabres on first, and then immediately change quickly during commercials to the Rangers games.
I love it. All right, so hey, as a Sabres fan, what do you think, this is a little off script, but what do you think needs to change, in order to get them to right the ship and get them back on track? I think the talent is there, but, I don't watch them or follow them frequently enough to make that decision.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, all you can really go by without being involved in the organization is kind of what the analysts are telling you, and even some of that is misinterpreted from time to time. I think they got to get ready for games. They got to be able to come out and score the first, not get scored on.
Right.
And the leadership in the group. You got to have some of your veteran guys. You got to have a stand-up leader that's willing to get up and get in somebody's face and tell them that they're not getting their job done, instead of just kind of the group message. We talked about this last night with as a coaching staff. How do we continue to maintain the high level of energy and accountability for the guys? And it's not just one guy in the locker room saying, hey, let's go, everybody. It's
right.
Kind of guys pulling a guy out and saying, hey, Tommy, you got to be working a little bit harder on those forechecks. And I think if they start, not pointing fingers, but calling guys out on their position, their job, I think you could see a little bit of change there. It could cause animosity, but at the professional level, you got to be able to hold somebody accountable. Absolutely.
No, I would agree. Before Bogosian got hurt, I certainly could see him being someone that's moved at the trade deadline. And I would, it's all but, a foregone conclusion that Evander Kane's getting moved too. It'll be interesting to see where he winds up. And I don't know about but I think the goaltending is a little weak up there in Buffalo too. I was never a big fan of that Robin Leonard deal. I know Tim Murray had some kind of relationship with him or saw something. I'd never played, so it's easy for me to say this. Saw something in him that I just don't see. But I just hope for brighter days ahead for that club.
Yep, there will be. There's no doubt about it. They'll get things turned around.
With Terry Pegula's backing up there, certainly I'd like to think that brighter days are ahead for all the Buffalo franchises. Because as a fan base, you guys definitely deserve more. I mean, I can't think of a more passionate bunch than the good folks up there in that Buffalo area.
Yeah, his heart's in the right place when he makes a statement like, if I want to make money, I'll drill another oil well.
Right.
He's there to win.
Right.
So he's going to do anything he can to make sure that happens.
Right, and he wants to build a winning culture and not just, maybe for 1 year or one season. You want to develop be the type of destination that free agents want to come to regardless of the sport. So, Brian, I really do appreciate you taking the time out on a Sunday to chat with me. I've been chatting with Brian Young, head coach of the Churchville-Chili Saints. I made sure to get that right because I got a buddy, Jimmy Overby. He made it a point to say you're saying it wrong, and so now I got to, names are very important. I don't want to upset or offend anybody, especially if we wind up meeting up at the Harbor Center in March. So best of luck to your squad with the rest of the way, and again, thanks for taking some time out.
Thanks, Trev. I appreciate it. Hey, give my best to Marisol, Juliana, and Kayla.
Will do. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. This is your boy, Trav, and you're listening to the HV Pucks podcast.
This is Brian Riley, head hockey coach at Army West Point, and you are listening to the HV Pucks podcast, available for free download on Google Play, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Now, back to the show.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Trav, a.k.a. 5 Minute Major, and I'm pleased to be joined by Paul Zarach. He is the head coach for the Ithaca High School boys varsity hockey team. He is in the car. He is on his way to meet his team because, Coach, I think you have a 12-15 puck drop today. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're hosting New Hartford at the Cass Park rink in downtown Ithaca today.
All right, big tilt. Go out and support the team. Hey, Coach, what excites you most about your team?
I like that we're working hard, we're improving every day, and we're learning how to be battle-tested as the season goes on and try to play a full 45 minutes of hockey. That's the ultimate goal.
I mean, that's all you can ask for. You got to ask just for an honest effort from your players night in and night out. Any surprises this season, Coach, for you?
I'm really happy with the play of Dennis Kang. He's a freshman defenseman. He was on the team last year as an 8th grader, and he got more playing time. He earned a lot more as the season went on. But this year, he's a shot blocking machine. He's not afraid. He goes. He doesn't shy away from contact. He's playing like an upperclassman, but he's only a freshman. That's one big surprise for us.
Hey, that's definitely something that you can rally around and build on for the future, and I think it's great that a freshman is contributing in that way. I'm going to go out on a limb, Coach, and I'm going to say that the 2018 Cortica Cup, that win, was that the biggest game of the season for you so far?
Considering that we're the only team in Section 4, I would have to say, yeah, it was the biggest win so far. Cortland and us we play a really tight game, and Chad Topman, their head coach, and I thought of a great way to make the rivalry a little bit more special. So the Ithaca College and SUNY Cortland football teams play for the Cortica Jug every year.
Right.
So we thought we'd put a little twist on that for high school hockey, and the kids really loved it. I know his guys and my guys were looking forward to the game. Trophy came out nice, and we were fortunate to come out on top for the first of what will be many, many more games each year.
Yeah, I saw pictures all over Twitter and Instagram, and it really was a very impressive-looking trophy. I know you mentioned the freshman defenseman. Are there any other players to watch on your squad, Coach?
Oh, we got a bunch of guys to watch for. Michael Sornberger's having a really good season. He's a junior center. Bryce Mitchell's doing another nice job centering down another line. He's a junior. Xander DiNapoli's finally starting to play to his ability and starting to put pucks in the net. He had a huge night against Cortland. He put 2 in for us. Our other defensemen are really playing steady on the blue line, and it's funny in an ironic way that once Dennis Kang started blocking shots, it got really contagious, and everybody just wants to block shots because the guys go crazy for it. And our wingers are starting to do a nice job. Andrew Kim and freshman Michael Kiley's having a big impact over the past couple weeks. Brian Connuel, senior. I mean, I can name pretty much the entire squad. Most of the guys are just out there working their tails off and trying to get us a win every night.
Hey, Coach, with all that shot blocking going on, is it safe to say that you're channeling your inner John Tortorella at this moment?
Defense wins games, and ultimately defense wins championships. And if you can limit the amount of shots to the net, I would have to say yes. Then we're going with the old school 2014 Rangers, trying to block everything. These guys want to win, and we were a very young team last year, and this year we pretty much got everybody back with the exception of the seniors that graduated, and they're starting to get a feel and a taste for success. And I'm just hoping that over the next couple weeks here, as we finish out the regular season, we keep building more and more each game towards preparing ourselves to learn how to put together 45 minutes to win a game.
Hey, Coach, I know you have to travel for most, if not all, of your games. What's the toughest rink to play in, as far as you're concerned?
I would say the toughest rink to probably play in is the Show Park at West Jenny. The atmosphere there with the student body coming to cheer. West Jenny's a team that does not lose very often, and they don't lose very often at home. They usually, just win at home. So it's kind of like the New England Patriots of football. It's very hard to win there in Foxborough if you're the traveling team, and it's a tough place to play if you're the road team in Section 3 going to West Jenny.
Hey, who's your biggest rival at this point, would you say?
Cortland's coming around, but since the time I've been coaching the team, the boys team, West Jenny's always been a huge rival for us. Them and Ithaca, back when Ithaca was in Section 3 before state realigned and put it in Section 4 based on the geographic, it was West Jenny and Ithaca in the 2000s just battling. And I think we've tried to, since we've gotten out of that section, to try to keep that rivalry going. Because it's a good rivalry, it's a good team that they have up there. Frank Calabuco does a really nice job, and if we're able to hang with them and battle with them, it shows that we're doing the right thing as well.
What's your favorite memory or moment from the season so far, Coach?
The Cortica Cup was a big moment, a big memory. We came out, we actually played 45 minutes of hockey. The capability that I know that these guys have inside to go out and do. We scored in the first couple minutes, and we just were rocking all night long. We were physical. We were playing. If you take that game away, I would have to say the way we rallied around the McClafferty family when Sam McClafferty passed away after a long battle with cancer. The team was really able to rally around that. With Ben on the team, he was away from the team for the week, and we were able to get back-to-back overtime wins against Clinton and Salmon River, and it was just a special moment because all the kids really, they spent a lot of time with the McClaffertys growing up and knew Sam very well, and the kids persevered, and they a win for the family and a win for Sam, and it was just a really special moment, and it shows you that more than just hockey, what happens during those 45 minutes about the off the ice and just being a good human being. And these kids are great. I mean, they like each other. They play for each other. They've all grown up together. And ultimately, when something happens and we have to rally, they show that they can step up and be there for a teammate and a family when the times are tough.
Yeah, I remember talking to you at length about that situation, and I saw a lot on social media. So stick taps out to your team, the families, the community, because you really do have, a nice, positive, supportive culture that you've cultivated there. What's the biggest challenge you face as a coach?
The fact that we're the only team in Section 4 is probably the biggest challenge. A lot of people will laugh at that and say, well, you get the golden ticket to the dance. Well, sometimes having the golden ticket to the dance doesn't get you ready for that game if you don't try to make every game count. We don't have to win the section. We have to play 20 games, and there are nights where we don't have 2 points on the line, and we don't have, hey, we have to win this to get a home sectional game. So that's the toughest challenge. It's like a catch-22. The kids know in the back of their head, even though we don't talk about it, that we can go 0-20 or 20-0, and we're going to be in there. And I think that is the biggest thing with maturity for these guys. A young group of kids don't understand the importance as much, and these guys were all here last year, and this year they're really understanding that you just can't turn it on and off when you want. And I believe we have the toughest schedule in the state. If you look at our schedule and who we play, So these guys get battle tested, and they try to show up every night and put it together. But I think that's the toughest challenge, is how to get ready for 20 games when you know at the end of the day there's no playoff implications on that.
Yeah, I know we've talked extensively, you and I privately, and I know you're very friendly, as am I, with the head coach from Monroe Woodbury, Frank Alessandrino. He's in the same boat. So that's very interesting insight. What is the and you kind of alluded to this already, but what is the state of hockey in your area? Like, what are the chances that you see of getting more teams? Are there club programs? If you could just talk about that a little bit.
Down in the southern tier in the Binghamton area, you have Vestal, Johnson City, you have Maine Enwell, you have Corning, you have Elmira. All of those schools have club hockey teams, and the ADs and the kids and the families all, they're interested in playing in the varsity league. But then when they find out, what's the ice time cost? What are the costs for the program? It's been a big deterrent for those schools to try to make something happen. Anytime you start a new program at the high school level, whether it's modified JV or varsity, you got to take into consideration your athletic budget. And I think that's been the biggest holdup as far as getting another school or a handful of schools to join the section, so we would have games a home and away each year with all those teams.
Right. And, again, very similar up here in our area, again, with Monroe Woodbury, there are 6 club teams that, are interested in becoming sectioned, but there are a lot of logistical and financial implications and things that you have to consider. Coach, what do you look for in a hockey player?
It's not just about talent. You got to be a kid that's going to listen and want to better yourself and make yourself a better player. I think the biggest thing is just somebody who wants to play and loves the game. I mean, we practice at 6:30 in the morning most of the season at Cass Park, which is a outdoor rink that has no walls. It just has a roof. And if teenager to get up and go to the ice rink and be there around 6 a.m. to practice, has to really love going to the rink and being with their friends and just working hard. And we have that with these guys. And, if a kid wants to go out there and work and do everything he can to make himself better, as opposed to the kid who, has all the talent in the world but just wants to do it all on his own, it's kind of like the 1980s Olympic team. You're not looking for the best players, you're looking for the best team. I mean, yes, you'd love to have the best players, but ultimately, if you can put the best team together, that would get you really far.
It really sounds like you've developed that type of atmosphere and that type of culture. So again, kudos to you, Coach, on that. A couple more questions before I let you go. In your opinion, what makes a successful hockey coach?
I'm always learning myself. I don't know everything there is. Every week, every day, I'm looking at different things, trying to change up practices, fine-tuning, looking at our film, what we need to work on, try to make our drills according towards what we need to improve on. And I think a good hockey coach is somebody who is always trying to make themselves and the team better, not just going with the same 4 or 5 drills for the entire season and, not be willing to adapt and change. I mean, the athletes, the goalies are getting bigger, stronger, faster, even at the high school age. And you have to prepare your kids to play. I mean, the goalies are a lot bigger than they used to be. They're a lot more skilled with the butterfly. Just try to get everybody to improve that hockey IQ as the game changes.
Hey, I think I know the answer to this other question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Favorite professional hockey player, past or present?
Mark Messier.
Okay.
Just with the way he led and the way he walked the walk after he talked the talk, especially in 1994 when he guaranteed the win and gets the hat trick in Game 6 against the Devils. Very accountable leader, very good hockey player. He wasn't afraid to drop the gloves, whether they're playing Philly, and he wasn't afraid to go out there and try to get all the skill work going. Just as I was growing up, he was just the one player that really stood out to me.
There's millions of Ranger fans, myself included, that would certainly agree with you on that. So I'm going to assume, since we speak regularly, that your favorite professional hockey team is the New York Rangers.
It It is.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts right now? Do you think Gorton should hold a fire sale on the corner of 8th and 33rd or what?
I think that if we're not going to go far into the playoffs and you have a lot of assets that aren't going to return next year or the year after, then go ahead and see what you can get to try to help the team for next year.
Amen. That means Rick Nash. That means Michael Grabner. That might mean Ryan McDonough. At some point you start rooting for the name on the front instead of the name on the back. This is a business after all. I learned that the hard way when I saw, Brian Leach get traded and, things like, I saw Mark Messier not be given a contract extension after everything he did. So, you know what I mean? Like it's a business at the end of the day. So, and how I feel. We've talked privately about Henrik Lundqvist and his contract and, what he brings. I mean, he's starting to play some of his best hockey, but I don't know if he's going to have to pull a Ray Bork or something and request a trade to a contender. And then, who's really looking for a 36, 37-year-old guy to lead the team or maybe to even serve as a backup. So I think, Gorton's got some interesting decisions on his hands over these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think he does. And, it worked out well for Dominic Hasek. Maybe it can work out well for Lundqvist. I'd hate to see him go, but always like to see him win a cup with the Rangers and have his jersey in the rafters as a Stanley Cup champion as a member of the Rangers. But, if he can go get it someplace else, he's put a lot of time and effort into the organization and, for the most part, has been very successful his entire career. So,
hey, Coach, I'm going to let you go because I know you've got a game at 12:15 today. Just let us know who you're up against today.
We're playing New Hartford.
Nice.
Carson Cunningham's bringing his kids down right now as we speak. They should probably be pulling in any moment here. So it'll be a good game for us. We always have good games with New Hartford. Okay,
nice. And then you've got a matchup with Section 9 champion Monroe Woodbury and the little spoon himself, Frank Alessandrino, in a couple of weeks. So good luck with that too, Coach. And best of luck to you and your players the rest of the way.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Listen, it's my pleasure, Paul, and I hope to see you soon. I've been chatting with Paul Zarach, head coach of the Ithaca High School Boys Varsity Hockey Team, 2018 Cortica Cup champion, and this is your boy Trav, and this is the HV Pucks podcast, the only independent outlet dedicated to covering the sport of hockey in our region and beyond. Thanks, Paul.
Hey, thanks.